so it's Ranchi. Everyone knows Ranchi, right? Dhoni, everyone knows, right? Okay, so I am from Dhoni town. So let's get started with the agenda. It's very pretty simple. Serverless, authentication and authorization. I guess you people know about authentication authorization. So we'll brush it up. And what is JWT, right? So how we'll use JWT? What is JSON Web Token, right? JWT is JSON Web Token. And we'll learn about deployment. So to start with serverless, serverless is an execution model which goes from providers. Provider provides the resources, the code runs typically in the stateless container, a lot of things happening. It needs a scheduler to run that code. It runs inside a function. That's why we call it function as a server, function as a service, fast. Okay. Wait. Nobody understood it, right? Trust. Have you understood what is serverless? No, that was the exact definition, right? Wait. So let me break it down to you, piece by piece, so you can understand it. Serverless is an execution model. So it's a model which needs to be executed. And who execute these codes? The cloud providers. Who are the cloud providers? Google Cloud, right? AWS Lambda, Azure. We'll see more providers which are doing the cloud provider part. And how they help run the code? By allocating the resources, what your function needs, what your code needs, they allocate dynamically. They allocate the resources dynamically, and it runs inside the stateless container. So it doesn't depend on the environment or the architecture or the framework. So and how it's get triggered by the events. How? HTTP request, making an API call. How many of you know cron jobs? Everyone use that. If I'm a Linux fan, so I use a lot cron job. And so the code you will be developing in serverless, it's in the form of function. So that is why we call everything in serverless function as a service. We go with the short name FAS. So before understanding serverless, let's understand how the traditional architecture were. We were charged for keeping up the servers every time, right? Even when we are not using it. We were responsible for uptime, maintenance, servers, and we need to manage all the resources on our server. Isn't it breaking? Did someone heard from the first talk? Somebody was telling, maybe the person sitting here told us that he got a call from the client saying that maybe it happens at client side who runs a business or who do the freelancing thing. You expect a call anytime. You can expect any call. Why? Because your code breaks. It can happen, right? So again, whole server is running every time. We need to run the resources, and we are responsible for applying the appropriate security updates. Each time a new update comes, you need to patch it, right? So these are the traditional, and we need to manage the scaling, scale up, scale down. You know, this time the market is not right, so we need to scale down the servers. So there's a lot of things going in the traditional market. So here comes the serverless. We just focus on code and leave the servers. Like, do not think about server, what architecture it is, what API, what all resources server needs. Just focus on code. So why serverless? As a wireless internet, there is somewhere internet available. Similarly, in serverless, there are some servers available. Okay, so don't get confused that serverless means there is no server. It's not your server, right? As a developer, we want to think about, just don't think about all those servers things. Just focus on code, right? So as a developer, we need to focus just on code. These are the cloud providers which what I was talking about. Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, IBM OpenWhisk, Webtask, AWS Lambda, Kubernetes. So these are the provider. So let me get straight to it. Okay, what you can do with serverless application and what not. Okay, you can develop definitely build APIs. So our talk is somewhat building an API. So we'll build an API using serverless. You can custom the automation part, whatever you have been doing with other technologies, other frameworks, and you can process the data, right? The core concept is very simple of serverless. There is function, there is events, and there is services. So to understand all these details, you need to understand the basics of function, events, and services. So, okay, we understood about serverless, what it serverless do, what it is. So as I said in the beginning, so before making something accessible to public or to the users to use your product, you need to think about every aspect of it. It just not be that you developed a function, or I'll go with the function because serverless is a function. Okay, so if you develop a function which exposes the data, the user's data, it shouldn't be, it's not good, right? As a developer, you shouldn't do that. So let's understand about the basics of authorization and authentication. So what's the difference between authentication and authorization? Okay, so the difference is when you authorize someone, what do you expect from them? Who can do the job, right? What all authorities you provide them to do the things. Similarly, it is on the code as well. What all authorization you give to a person who can manage this internal part of the code, or manage the surface part of the code, or manage the middle layer. Getting it? Okay, so what is authentication? Who you are. It talks about you. When we say authentication, have you heard about Google authentication? Firebase authenticating something? What do they expect from you? Have you seen Google signing up? They want to know your identity, right? They want to know a bit about you. What all information you have said or given as a public, right? So this is authentication. So there is a difference between normal authentication and serverless authentication. So what it is? So here you can see Google Cloud Platform and Firebase integrating in such a way so that your function, your serverless function is authenticated each time. So to get another side of the view, not only just the Google products, there are some other technologies as well. Because from my introduction, you have heard that I'm a community guy. I rely on other communities as well. So there is something called Auth0, right? And how they handle it. It's not that Auth0 is a different thing. They also use the Google products as well, right? While you authenticate, there is an option to select the Google product as well. So how it works? They get login page. You request as a user something to some website, to the login page. Login page gives you the JS, which handles the part of the authentication part, and user authenticates to their server, and they return back the login. After login, they redirect user back to the site. This is the normal authentication flow, right? It happens everywhere. So how we are understanding the basics of authentication, right? Similarly, authorization. So same happens again. At that time, they were giving the data back. Who user are, their name, email ID, phone numbers. Now they are giving back the privileges, what their privileges is on their particular website. Okay? So to understand about securing an API, we must understand about first JSON Web Token, right? What it is. JSON is JavaScript Object Notation, Web Token, how it looks and how it is. So here, what it is about, it's a way of encoding information. How we can encode it so that there is a secure communication between the two JSON objects or between the servers and the client's data. So it is a secret based validation. you will get to know how it works. So every time you encode something, you put a secret to it. We'll see more about it. And it consists of three parts: header, payload, and signature. Here the signature comes where you need to put the secrets. And it is a self-contained. It doesn't need anything else to render all those information. Everything is there. Just you need to pass the secrets. So a JSON token somewhat looks like this. Okay, this is a JSON token, a basic JSON token, which I'll be using or which you will be using when you need to authenticate your API. So how we'll do that, we'll see in a bit. So first of all, I said JWT consists of three parts: header, payload, and signature. Right? I'm clear? So a header consists of two parts: type, which type it is, mainly the type is JWT, and which algorithm it uses. There is a lot of encryption encoding algorithms going on. You can choose from anything. So the default is HS256, which JWT uses. So somewhat the header looks like this. This is a JSON way of representing your things. So what is payload? The payload over here is your data, what you want to give it back to in the form of what information you need to give back after authenticating. So it consists of two aspects. There is a public domain, there is a reserved domain. So once you understand about more in detail, you will get to it what it is. So payload looks something like this. What's the issuer name? It's mostly reserved because issuer is not going to change. What's the public claim? There is two claims: reserved claims and public claims. What's the user? Let's say here user, my name is MDSPZ Alam is my user. This is publicly accessible without giving the secrets. So to understand, encoding doesn't mean encryption. Your data still be available for everyone to see, but how valid it is, it can only be known when you give the secret. If secret is verified, you can trust, you can understand that okay, whatever the information is coming is valid. So how it works, we'll see. A signature consists of encoded header, encoded payload, and a secret associated with it. So the algorithm goes behind something like this, which use HSA with the base 64 URL encoder with the header. Whatever is in the header, it gets encoded. Same with the payload, and we add the secret to it. And after doing this, it makes the task. What task it accomplishes? It provides the identity of the sender, who the sender is. When you give the secret, you get to know who the sender is, and ensures after, if there is nothing got changed, you can ensure from this. It is somewhat a checksum kind of thing, right? So that you know there is no alteration to your product or your APIs. So a finished token looks like encoded header dot encoded payload dot signature, which looks something like this. The red part is the encoded header, the payload is the purple one, pink one, and the blue one is the signature. So how an application uses JWT to verify the authenticity of a user. How we use? We again use the same logic of authentication. We use the login, maybe user ID, password, Facebook, Google, etc. to authenticate ourselves from the authentication server. And our authentication servers, what they return back are our identity along with the JWT associated with it. Okay, and when we now try to access the API, we pass the JWT with us, and the application server from where you have kept the APIs, which they again look back, they decode the JWT and find that okay, this is a legitimate call, so they give you access to the API. So it goes to everything, all the APIs, not just the serverless API. This is how the entire application, entire security of a application API goes. So now, since I had a lot of time, so deployment is now, I thought like maybe I may not get the exact time to show you the live demo, but I have time right now with me. But as of now, I'll go through the task, how it is. I have taken the screenshots, how Google Cloud, you can deploy within 5 minutes. You can build your own serverless functions and deploy it on the Google Cloud. And I'll show you. And before that, just see the like screenshots, how it works. So start, how many of you have the Google Cloud account? Nice, I was expecting very fewer number. So did you know that you can use it for free as well? There is $300 credit, right? If someone has not tried it, do try that, okay? So once you sign up and you got this page, you just go to the, early in the morning Karthik was saying about the Claude, but he was talking about ML. So in Claude you can do a lot of stuff. So here we will be developing the API. So look for the API and services part, go to their dashboard, and because you will be the first user to do that, go to the API and service thing. You need to enable the API part. Okay, how things works is I'm just demonstrating it using the screenshots. So after that, search for cloud functions and enable it. Okay, if you done with it, you'll see something like this. Just after that, just click on create functions, and that's it. This is your first function where you can do a lot of things happening inside this function. This everything is in the form of function. I guess you can see there, or else I can share my slides with you to know more in detail, or I'll show you in the live demo as well. And that's it. Just run that code. Okay, I haven't shown you the exact code. It's very small there. So once I do the live coding, I'll show you how it is and what I have written there. And once it's done, you will see that there is a green symbol will be there that it's deployed. Okay, as it is, as easy as that. Just a few line of clicks and you can do that. Obviously, it's just a hello world thing. But if you want to build something more, you need to dig into it and understand how things works. But understand that everything is in the form of function. So you just over there just click and test the function. While testing, you will be getting a URL to fetch those things. Because since it's a form of function right now, it's a plain text. You will return the HTML part of it, the plain text in the form of. If you write JSON objects, if you want to, because everything is in API in the form of right now is JSON. Nobody uses XML. Anybody is using XML apart from the mobile guys? No, there are a few people who are using. I'm a JavaScript fan. So I love interacting with JSON. So you can do that as well after authenticated your user. All those logic, just understand what I've been trying to say. Build that, authenticate, and show that demo, the code it is, and it returns you the message, what it is. So here it is Google Cloud Functions. You can do, it's in the form of, right, in the JSON objects. Same as an API, if you have interacted with any API, you can test that functions. Similarly, the result comes and shows you the log, what your user is trying to do, and everything. So again, if there is not only a Google way of doing it, as I'm an open source person, I have a thing of saying that look for something else as well. So that there might be possibilities that after some time, maybe Google Cloud, if you run out of money and you still want to do something. And the best part of what I like about serverless, I like to build bots for the chat system. So I rely on those technologies which can be forever, I guess, for free. So I believe in free. So there is an Auth0 platform where you can do the same kind of function for free. Similarly, same interface, you will be there. You will be given the opportunity to create your own functions. They have your everything set up for webtask.io. Create an empty function. Similarly, the same function goes there as well, because everything whatever you write in serverless is a form of function. So here again, the context is query name is hello, and the output is going to have been the DevFest Ahmedabad, right? So this is a function. When you run it, they give you the same output, but Google is doing the same thing. They give you the endpoint as well to connect and get back the data, right? So these are the two options what I love doing, exploring the Google Cloud and the web task part. Okay, so these are the link for those website, and yeah, these are the resources where you can see and learn more about Google Cloud Platform, web tasks, and understand more about what is JWT, going through their website called jwt.io, and there's a good handbook to understand why somebody came up with JWT and not why they have opted for encoding, not the encryption part. So go through that handbook. It's very pretty and neat and clean to understand what JWT is. And if you have afterwards want to learn more about serverless, not just a Hello World program or Hello World function APIs, connect with me over there. With I guess everywhere with the same username, MDSVZAlam. Whatever platform comes, I create this with the same username, right? So connect with me with any of the whatever you prefer connecting with me, okay? And the slides, you can see the slides over here. It's online on the slides.com. It's just bit.ly DevFest 18 AHM. I guess this is one of the hashtag of DevFest. So you can see the slide, you can see the code more in detail. If I have missed something, you can look back again. So this is the slide, and thank you for having me. I'll show you, if you want, I can show you the demo how fast it is to build API. So it depends on you what you say, and if I have a time. Sure, go ahead. Can I get the Wi-Fi or the password thing? Any volunteer? Yeah, you have a question? Yeah, ask. Meanwhile,
how should we be storing our JWT tokens here in the front end, JavaScript?
Yes, there is a good. This is a good question, and we have recently because developers used to. He asked that where should we store the JWT token? After authenticating, where should we store it, right? In the local storage or the persistent, which storage we want, non-persistent or persistent, okay? Whether it's on the browser thing or the actual database. So recently again, there's a great blog about this thing on the Medium, that's why you asked, I know. And so I guess you have known the topic, where should one store that. I'll repeat again. You shouldn't store it on the cache, or you shouldn't store in the local storage of your browser, because okay, encoded string can be taken away, right? Cache can be stolen away. Your all those data, local storage data can be taken away with the very basic scripting. And like if you have developed any add-on for Chrome extensions, if you can, if you look about it, you can take anything what you want from the browser aspect. Am I right? So if you store something on the browser, you can take it using the web extensions, right? The extensions, add-ons. So I say do not store your valuable information on the web storage, the browser storage, because even I do not prefer to store my even username and password in the what everything is asking. Every time you sign up for a new account, somewhere new website, they'll ask you to store. If you store that, I'm pretty sure if I build an extension, I can take your username and password with me, and that's not that it's not that hard enough to get that information, because accidentally once in a while you can click my pop-up which allows everything. Users, what you do, you integrate through the JWT. Once they have validated you that okay, it comes from a genuine person, okay, then you can give back the data. Okay, your question is where should I store? It's up to you where you want to store. It can be MongoDB, but again, if MongoDB is there, so if there is no structured data needed, obviously you can do there, and if not, you can use MySQL and.
So I can directly write that connection in my function, right?
Function as
and
well.
there is nothing.
There is nothing as much.
No other library is required as such to do it.
No, I don't think. Yeah, definitely there will be library integration to do that. Not just with a simple line of code. How one can do that? Yes, your question.
You mentioned not to store JWT token in persistence like local storage and session storage, but you can you just mention one or two
instances where should I use store? Okay, so you have just basically understand the basic concept of it. You have an API running somewhere else. It's maybe in some other servers, right? And you just want that whosoever is hitting your endpoint, the URL, it should be an authenticated user, and not that every person is accessible to it, right? So what we did, we integrated the JWT in between to know whether they are coming from a legitimate person. And why I say do not store in the local storage, so that maybe because if I do for that, I have a very small amount of time to end those tokens, to invalidate that token. I just give the validity of that token to only 1 minute, so that if it has to be done and everything is gone, vanish. So if you are still storing in the web storage, that is fine. But if you want your token to be there for longer time, don't store it there. Store it in your servers, the actual servers. Okay. So 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you freeze for a bit second? I need to log in. Freeze that screen for a bit. Internet slow. Yeah, in the live demo, that's why the internet sucks. So it's still loading, but as it is same as the screenshot I've shown. Just go to Google and Google Cloud, look for API, search if you haven't enabled the Google Cloud function, look for Google Cloud functions, select that, enable that, write your first function, and test it using the endpoint what it gives. It's very simple as that. You just need, I guess, 2 minutes to do that. Can you come back again? So this is how Google Cloud function looks. Look for something called Google functions, and I recommend using pin so that everything is here, whatever you want to do. Again, let's take it loading. Yes, any more question I can take? If yes.
Actually, I have two questions. First question is like, let's say we are having kind of saving operation where we store the data in data. So the question is like for the server, the basic server, it runs like 24/7, right? Hello.
Right.
Yeah. So it runs like 24/7. And my understanding, if correct me if I'm wrong, that the serverless is only invoke when you hit the some
hook point,
Yes.
like HTTP or something, right?
Yes.
So other time it is not invoking, like it is not running at all in the process.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this was the first question. Now the another question is, let's say if I have some kind of storing the data. So in that case, I have to initialize like a database connectivity, like database connection,
Okay.
right? So my question is hitting the function. Do I have to invoke every time? Like, because for the database connectivity, it should be consistent every time. Like
Okay. Yeah. You can.
yeah. Okay. So let's say serverless provide like a lots of efficiency in terms of like a scaling. So let's say if I have lots of requests are coming up, then it's better to scaling in the serverless instead of like having normal server where you upgrade the hardware or something, right? Or if you like create multiple instances. So like my question is, do I have to connect every time to the database to have a instance? So let's say the timing is like, let's say 5 minutes. If there is nothing operating in the 5 minutes, then server will
So
like.
I guess you have taken it a bit different way. I am saying, I'm not saying that it won't execute when you call that function. Still, that you have said in your function first question that when you ask for it, it gives you back the data. What you have been doing in the traditional servers as well, right? But you earlier, whenever there was no HTTP request, so again your serverless was running, your resources were running, and you need to pay for that. What I'm telling you right now, you only need to pay, or you need to only the server needs to be running, and the resources need to be used when somebody requests for that thing. They only get charged for that part of thing. Charge here doesn't apply only in the form of monetary aspect. It applies to everything, the resources and everything.
So like let's say if I have some database stored in the US and if my server is on the Europe part, so like there will be always initialization needed, like connection is needed. So there will always be latency for
Yes,
connecting.
just
to the
I'll
database.
give you with the analogy how things works. So let's say if you want to create a chatbot, everybody interacted with any chatbot? Okay, so how about creating a chatbot? After you go there, just look for how to create a chatbot using serverless, and it's very pretty fast. You can integrate that thing in Slack. You have your Slack channel, right? Don't spam your GDG Ahmedabad Slack channel with a lot of bots. But yes, you can do that, and while developing, you will get to know the basics of serverless. And only how does a bot replies to you? When you chat with them, right? So what I'm trying to say, when you interact with serverless function, then only it gives you the data.
Yeah, but
so
still,
what's the problem over here? Every time it's running now.
I want to give answer.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So when you invoke the function, right, connection will be open first time. Then your execution part, like export, like if you are aware about like Node.js, right? Function will be executed. Connection will be open one time. If you are connecting with data store, cloud data store, right? Connection will be automatically taken care once the function will be invoked.
yeah.
Right. And the question of you want to store authentication and tokens and secrets, right?
Yes.
You can always store it securely on Google Cloud Function.
Yeah.
It provides you the environment where you will send it.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
always secure in that. You can store secrets over there, and you can store your authentication data like user tokens and all that into cloud data store, or you can install your own MongoDB instance
On the cloud as well. So there's a lot of things happening in cloud. Just I'm telling them to explore so that they'll learn more. Thanks.
Yeah, but again, still.
Jigar, thanks Jigar for answering that.
Yeah, but still.
I guess we will have a lot of
Yeah, we can
discussion
talk it
afterwards,
later.
right?
Yeah, after the conference. But
I guess we have a lot of experts
yeah,
from
sure.
cloud who can do that.
The reason was asking for this question is like if instead of like asking one-to-one, it's better to share with others.
Sure,
That's why.
sure. Thanks. So I guess I'm done with the talk, and if you want to know more in detail, you can connect with him or me anytime. Okay, thanks for having me, GDG.